Hello and welcome back to Meakashi. Meakashi. It'll never roll off the tongue. Right now, I'm deeming this the worst title, even though it's been shown how to pronounce it properly. It just doesn't work for me. Just that happens with some words. But yeah, Sunday night feels good. I probably should have recorded it earlier on Sunday, but yep, somehow I'm still recording at 12:20 a.m. But I guess it's like not the latest, so it's alright. Anyways, last time was post festival. Um, I guess the main thing that happened was the encounter with Oishi, with Shion and Satoshi, and Shion did the power play to get out of the corner Oishi backed them up in by revealing her true identity that not even Oishi knew about, which is kind of surprising because I feel like Oishi would know all about the Sonozakis at this point. But I mean, if Shion's just like never there, then I guess he wouldn't really put her into the puzzle. So that's interesting. I did look at the CG with Keiichi, and it is just redrawn. I think I think it was made for Satoshi, which made sense if since this happened before, because Keiichi looks kind of weird in that. Like it's that like the facial expression too. So I think it's just like redrawn from Satoshi's model, but I'm not sure. It's not like we've seen a lot of Keiichi. Actually, we've never seen his sprite. We've just seen CGs of him. But yeah, that happened, so I'm sure that news will spread across the village. Um, but it really did probably save Satoshi if he did it. It's kind of weird because it does feel like Satoshi did it, but mentioned in Shion's diary, she states that the cops didn't find any evidence, even though Satoshi was a lot less. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I do feel like Keiichi did a better job, probably just because he actually buried the body where Satoshi just kind of left it there. But who knows? Keiichi might have left some evidence too, like hair and whatever. But yeah, that was clear. Shion might have. Shion suggested that maybe someone cleaned up with him. This is future Shion, writing in the diary, which is interesting. Who could do that? Who knows? This is when everyone's kind of going home. If I had to immediately guess, I mean, obviously it's not Shion. And I was saying, like, maybe the murderer is Shion, but the fact that we can see into her diary, I'm guessing it's just not her. Like, because she did seem suspicious, she did seem calm about it, but at the same time, in her diary, she still suspects Satoshi of doing it. And I'm just gonna take the diary as her true thoughts, even more than like love, her love-struck thoughts. So so yeah, we'll cross Shion off on that. Honestly, it could be anyone. I kind of just want to say Rika, because it did seem like Rika knew that the aunt was going to die, and at the same time, her like motive would be to like keep Satoto happy because Satoshi would still be there. But obviously, Satoshi disappears, so we'll have to see what happens with that. And that might be able to cross out Rita if she's involved with the disappearance, because then that would make no sense. That's a prime target. It could have been a Sonozaki. If or you did know about it, then having someone clean up after him is fine. Like the Sonozakis don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want any connections to Oryu, so they like have someone else do it, aka Satoshi, without like really letting him know he did it, and then they clean up with him, so it's not easy to catch him. But like in the end, there will be like no link to Oryu, so those are the two main ones, obviously. But who knows? It can be anyone. It can be Rena. It seems like Rena's been very close to Satoshi, so it's reasonable for her to do it. don't think it's Satoko, but who knows? Mion, I don't think so, but maybe she wants to look after her sister and is trying to protect her. But she seemed really unsure in the phone call, but that could be an act. Lots of people. I think Rika and Oryu's, or like one of Oryu's, whoever's followers of Oryu did it. That's the main one, but nothing solid yet. So I'm excited to see how this goes. And yeah, let's start chapter 7, I believe. Maybe things will start to get a little more spooky, a little more supernatural too. And we're going right into the interrogation. The cops were smart enough to separate us during questioning. Oishi didn't come to talk to me. Hopefully Satoshi is following Shion's orders of just staying quiet or pretending to be hazy on the night. And again, all I want is... I don't need hard evidence that Satoshi didn't do it. I just want him to say he didn't do it to Shion. Because I really feel like Satoshi's just not good at lying, so... I want to hear his voice, and then we can, like, backtrack it. And there won't be any hard evidence anyways from Shion's diary, so... Yeah. That's what I need. If he gets Satoshi saying he didn't do it, then we can think about other stuff. But right now, it's like, I don't even think there's a need to not think Satoshi did it. His aim was Satoshi-kun and nobody else. I got a young cop who just talked about ordinary things. He must have been trying to ease me into the interrogation. This Kumudai? I forgot his name. When I realized that, the clumsy way he spoke to me began to frustrate me. Is Satoshi-kun alright? I didn't think Oishi really bought my testimony. He must have been trying to get Satoshi-kun to confess in spite of that. All I could do was pray that he'd keep quiet. Oh, it is. I think his name is Kumadai. The phone desk rang and the cop picked it up.
Hi, Kumagai desu.
Kumadai. It was pretty close. For someone I just... Well, we met him before, but now that he's sprited, I will make an extra effort to remember his name. Kumadai.
Hi? ああ、そうですか。わかりました。すぐに。
I wonder if our parents or grandmother is notified and they'll come scoop us up. Because even if we are like outcasted from the Sonozakis, I'm sure even Oryu wouldn't want other people to be like picking on us, especially the cops. He hung up and told me somebody had come to retrieve me. Looked like Satoshi-kun had to stay. Were they going to continue the interrogation just because he had nobody to pick him up? Although, maybe I should have been worrying more about myself. I mean, it could be Kasai, which would be the best case scenario, but... I mean, she just got captured, so maybe the news wouldn't spread out that quickly. Oh, maybe not. The Hague probably heard about me by now since I revealed my identity to the police. Maybe the Oryu has. I was about to call her the Hague. I'm gonna stick with Oryu for now. Maybe Oryu does have some insiders. I guess it wouldn't be too surprising. I couldn't hide any longer. I was going to receive some sort of punishment. I had no idea what she'd end up doing to me. The degree of punishment for a traitor is always severe in the world of the Sonozakis. Hopefully it's not torture. You wouldn't think so, but who knows. The punishment must be carried out. If it's to protect the family's reputation, it's carried out no matter what. Maybe I should kiss my pinky finger while I still can. Honestly, a finger lost is probably better than going through some good old Sonozaki torture. I asked the young cop just in case. Kumadai? Or Kumadai. I was trying to say, is it Kasai?
アメリカなんかでよく死刑囚が死刑廃止の州で捕まると引き渡さないでくれるっていう話あるじゃないですか。
Oh man, good one.
ん
basically saying, if they're gonna kill me, you should probably not hand me over to them. Maybe it was too difficult for him. He just looked puzzled. Well, guess we didn't have to explain. A glossy black car was waiting for me in front of the police station. A few men from my dad's office bowed to me. Okay, so it is the main family. Rip Kasai. I'm sure he's gonna get punished too. Hopefully, I mean, obviously he doesn't die because he's in the next year.
シオンさん、ご無沙汰しております。
What's up,
葛
guys?
西は
Yikes. Kasai had been helping me ever since my escape from school. They wouldn't allow him to walk free.
お姉はどうしてるの？何か言ってる？
私たちはシオンさんを本家へお連れしろとしか言われていませんの
Ooh,
で、
main house, right to Oryu.
詳しくは本家でお尋ねになってください。
Skip the parents, right to Oryu. Okay. I'm ready for this confrontation. I'm gonna see if Shion's gonna still be like this super rude to Oryu right up to her face. The Oryu might like laugh it off. She does feel kind of like that, but we'll see. After saying that, he escorted me into the car. See ya, Satoshi. A man sat on either side of me. Obviously, they didn't want me to escape. Thinking of Satoshi-kun, I looked back at the police station. Hold on tight, Satoshi-kun. I'll grin and bear it too. I mean, if you got on the good side of Oryu, then like maybe I feel like they're the best bet to help Satoshi-kun. If literally anyone could, it would be them. The car started off roughly. It was never a good occasion when I went to this house. Check. It said when Miyana and I were really small, oblivious of what the Sonozaki name meant for us. I'd been here only when I had to attend boring family councils. The car parked behind the house. Traders aren't allowed in through the main gate. Huh. I didn't know that. I got out of the car. It looked like Sis would be the only person to receive me. I almost spoke to her casually, but her cold gaze froze me before I could.
お久しぶりですね、シオン。
This is serious, Mion. This is the Mion we met before the torture chamber, but like when we were talking with her, with Rena in the tea room.
新年以外に会えるとは思いませんでした。
It gave me chills to hear her greet me in that cold manner.
ミオン姉様こそご機嫌麗しゅうございます。
Serious, Mion.
新年以外にお顔が見れて3問くらいの得を感じます。
I responded, trying to sound likewise.
当主は大変ご立腹ですよ。どう釈明されるか見ものです。私がするような釈明なんて別にないですし。
God. I mean, this is pretty spooky for Shion. I actually feel like she's gonna get punished pretty badly. Hopefully not. I don't know. Hopefully she tries to at least talk her way out of it. Because it looks like Mion's not gonna have any backup. Maybe she'll throw in like some backup while maintaining this super cold persona right now. That would be really cool. Boo. I was just checking my mic. It seemed a little weird. Okay. I think that's fine. I'll do a quick reset just to see if I've been low talking. Okay. I think I fixed it. It's very weird. I literally didn't change any sound settings, so I didn't actually know what I should change. And my videos I recorded yesterday are also the same. as normal, so I don't know. So I just changed my mic volume. My mic output on the sound settings was at 50. I just turned it up. I tested it a bunch of times, and then 100 does sound similar to what my voice setting usually sounds like, but I'm not 100% sure. It does sound loud enough though, and I do know my voice is quite loud just because I feel like it's a bit better to hear me. At least it's better to be louder than quiet, or in comparison to like the game sounds. So I think that's good. Though maybe this is a sign I should play with my voice volume and just find a decent balance. Also, sorry, I noticed now after testing you can probably hear the air conditioning. But it's just usually hot it's really hot in Canada, or Toronto right now. Well, Mississauga right now. Well, I'm on the border, so either or. But yeah. If this does sound different, obviously the first part's gonna sound different of this video, but if this sounds different, tell me, even though it's re-recorded. This goes out on Wednesday, but I will make sure to compare the videos if there's any major differences. But sorry for that. That was really my bad. I just didn't expect it because I never checked the audio levels because I never changed anything. So I have no idea why my microphone was why it was low. I don't know if it was always at 50% and some other setting changed, but I have no idea. So we're just trying to roll with this. Again, honestly, it's lucky I even noticed that. This series has been cursed with issues in the past. Probably the worst being me forgetting to record the screen, so I just have the audio over a black screen, and then I have to dub it myself, trying to like listen to my clicks to the screen. That happened a couple times in Higurashi. So this isn't too bad, and at least I figured it out. At least I was attentive. So yeah, sorry for that cut in such a tense scene. Let's actually get back into it. Yeah, I just spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out what the heck was wrong and testing it. So hopefully it's alright. If not, well, we'll try to sort it out later. I just want to get back into this. It's way too late for me to be thinking about computer stuff, which I'm really just not a fan of. I had no excuse. Now I forgot where whatever. I had escaped from the school solely because I couldn't stand it there. That was all.
Shion, 来なさい。
Okay, sister.
みんな待っています。
Everyone. Wonder if our mom and dad are there too. Or Shion's mom and dad. Miyana started me and the others followed. Or it's just like the whole council. We went to the garden, not into the house. Well, that's not a good sign. That's a really bad sign. As we passed through the huge yard into the woods, I realized where she was taking me. Well, hopefully this doesn't, oh man. I wonder if we're like comparing this to past arcs. Like, is Xian gonna get the finger treatment that Keiichi almost got? If I just had to like guess, if again, even though this doesn't happen at the same time, it's like important scenes are gonna happen as they did. So Xian gets the finger treatment, maybe? I don't know. I don't want to see it. When we were little, we were told to never go near these woods. I had a vague idea of what was in the back of them. I'd heard there was a hidden entrance to the underground torture room where they used to punish the enemies of the family. The more hideous rumors I heard about the family, the more credible those rumors seemed. Well, I wasn't completely certain about any of that, though she had never heard of it, even though she's referenced it a bunch of times. I never expected to see the torture room for myself. Well, I doubt we're gonna keep this cool demeanor in the torture room. And that means Mion's probably gonna torture us if it does go the same way. That's gonna be even worse. Your own twin sister doing it. And obviously, Mion might feel bad, but we do know that Mion's super dedicated to the village, so it's not like she's not gonna do it. Man, I was so mad I had to take a little break just to sort this out. Just now, but I'm getting all tingly now, so this is good. Good stuff. We came to the conclave clearing in the middle of the woods. I saw a metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter. The good thing is also, if we'll see if like Rita's there or people. If this is only a Sonozaki thing or is this a council thing. And then if we do get to see other people not in the Sonozaki family, that'll give us a good indication of people who watched the torture. I mean, I already think Rita's definitely probably watched a couple torture stuff, but who actually knows?
これが噂の地下実験室ってやつですね。
I saw the metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter. I was surprised to hear my own voice. My voice was trembling. Yeah, no matter how cool you are, torture is like literally to break people or punish people, which usually ends up breaking people anyways, but yeah, I'm gonna feel bad for you. I don't think this is gonna, unless it does follow the story and Shion does stop the torture right before it starts, but I have a feeling it's not gonna stop. Especially if Oryu and everyone else is there. Last time it was just Keiichi and Mion, and you know, how can you say no to Keiichi's screaming voice? It made me realize that I was more scared than I thought. Nobody answered my question. The very air felt tense. According to the family rules, one of the twins must be eliminated. Was I finally going to be eliminated? I realized I had been underestimating my punishment. I hadn't been aware of the real terror until now. I just thought I was. Beyond the steel door, the air had an intimidating smell. This was really happening to me. I shouldn't allow myself to give in to fear. Sorry, I'm like super paranoid now. Was that always there? Maybe OBS changed. No, it's fine. Okay. I felt like saying something rude, but my lips were dry, and my fingers were fidgeting. I was escorted through the narrow hallway down and down a few sets of stairs. There I saw another huge steel door. So this was the place. Oh my god, even my stomach feels weird reading this. I have a bad feeling. I hope Shion can do something, but like what? It was spacious and utterly odd looking room. Oh, maybe this is where we're gonna hear the weird noises Shion heard along with Toмотaki. Maybe that's why. But I don't know about Toмотaki. I mean, they were in a different room. They were in the shrine torture room, but maybe I can connect. Also, that static noise is spoopy. The room had two sections that looked completely different. One side looked like a lounge. I saw several high-ranking members of the family council sitting on cushions there, looking expressionless. Definitely a new song. I like it right now. The other half was tiled, as if a large public bath. That was already puzzling enough. And there were those things. To be honest, they had captured my attention from the moment I arrived. I noticed them even before I saw the lounge and tilted space. I just didn't want to accept that they existed. I couldn't stand straight. I almost dropped to my knees. But I couldn't. Two young men had been holding me by the arm since I got here. There were oddly shaped things hanging from the walls. The cage things. I was just refusing to recognize what they were. Or the knife things. I knew exactly what they were called. I see, I see. I understood that. Those eerily shaped objects were torture devices from hell. Or just in general, because maybe they didn't. I know in the shrine one there was like hanging cages. Ooh. Hello, Oryu. The head, sitting at the front of the lounge, intimidated me in a horrid voice. She kept cursing me for a little while, but she was so incensed that I could barely tell what she was saying. I knew what she was trying to say, though. The Haid was willing to forgive my escape from the school, but once I revealed my identity to the police, she had to step in. Since I had disobeyed the family rule, she, as the leader, was forced to punish me. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Oryu wasn't really chasing after her. That's rough. You know what would be the cherry on the cake if Satoshi gave... Oh, I just realized this is like the perfect time for Satoshi and Oishi to work together. Like I said, they might have. So the status part of the song, interesting. They had a song like this in Umineko too that was very eerie. Though not pleasant to listen to. Though this one does sound a bit more pleasant. But yeah, this could be the time, but I guess we're not gonna see that. Hopefully it was worth it, Shion. I'm nervous with you though. Moreover, there was only one thing that bothered her more than anything else. The fact that I covered for Satoshi-kun. The Hojo family had been seen as traitors to the village ever since the damned conflict. Satoshi-kun is still considered one of them. She couldn't accept that I was connected to him. To me, this was a bit unexpected. At the escape from the school the Haid put me in. All the while, I believed that was what she was upset about. But in fact, she said that she was the most uncomfortable with my connection with Satoshi-kun. I couldn't believe this. Of course I knew that Satoshi-kun's family was persecuted for their betrayal, but I didn't think that Satoshi-kun was also burdened with that responsibility. Well, if anything's gonna give Shion courage in this situation, it's gonna be shit-talking Satoshi. She's super emotional when that happened, so... I don't know if that's gonna help her, but... yeah. Here's something. Ooh. Angry are you? Maybe I should take a potential thumbnail, though I do... well, maybe not. I do kind of want to see a spicy CG, but I guess we didn't get that in Watanabe. The head interrupted me with a shout which made me cower in fear. She continued slandering the Hojos and said that Satoshi-kun was a cursed child. Ah! Interesting. Okay, so this is probably in reference to the Watanabe arc when there's that really weird scene where Mion was holding the ladder for Keiichi and then she started going on a rant calling Satoko a cursed child and how she brings misfortune to everyone around her. Maybe that could be like, since again Mion is like, this could either be like trauma from this event from Shion and just mentioning Satoko, who Shion hates, kind of drove her into the state to copy the Hades, or you see it's coming, it's starting to come natural to call her the Hade, or Yu's decision, or it could be Mion, who's again modeling herself after Oryu to repeat that for whatever reason. Interesting though. But we don't get the full. We're getting Shion's like explanation of the scene, which is kind of weird. We're not actually seeing the direct dialogue, so can't say for certain. But that's the first note to that scene, so that should be important to remember if I need to talk about that. I started feeling pissed off. What did he do to deserve this? What was he being blamed for? It was too late when I realized I'd said that out loud. Get it riled up. Again, this is like, don't. I mean, I don't know. This probably isn't helping her, but it's the only way she's gonna get riled up in this situation. Satoshi's like her weakness, dude. You talk one thing about her, she'll bark at you. So this is, I don't know if this is good, but this is good for me because this is gonna be spicy. The head looked furious. I'd obviously upset her. I mean, you're gonna get tortured, maybe killed. Might as well just go all out. I decided to repeat myself to make it very clear how I felt.
ばあさん、あんた何言ってんの？
Oh man. I was saying, will Xian be disrespectful to Oryu in front of her face? And initially she wasn't, but you know, talk shit about my boy Satoshi, you're gonna get Xian's wrath. This should be fun. Not for Xian at the end, but it'll be fun for me.
黙って聞いてれば言いたい放題。
I wonder what I kind of want to just see Mion's face through this too. That would be funny.
なんばねすったら口の利き。
やかましい。しまいまで聞きなよ、バカ野郎。
Dropping the F-bombs. I shouted loudly to silence the head.
だいたいあんたはサトシ君の何を知ってるの？サトシ君のことをよく知りもしないくせに、まるで彼を害虫みたいに言い捨てて。サトシ君がどんなにいい人か私はよく知っている。彼が北条だからいけないの？バッカみたい。時代錯誤も甚だしい。園崎の私が北条のサトシ君と一緒にいたのがそんなにも不愉快なの？くったらないくったらないバッカみたい。こんな安っぽいロミジュリを自分で体験できるなんて思わなかったな。
You know, it's not Keiichi's shouting scene over the phone to Shion in or Mion in Watanadashi, but it's definitely not bad if we're like comparing that to that. You do know I love my monologues and I also love my shouting, so shouting monologues are literally the best thing. That was pretty good. With the F-bombs, this is supposed to be a family-friendly YouTube No, it's not. My face was messy with tears. Even so, I didn't feel like putting a stop to my emotional explosion. What did Keiichi always said? What did he say? I just let my emotions break like a dam or something. He said something like that, which is kind of funny when you think about it with dams in this story. I don't, if that's correct. If he was saying something like that, I didn't notice the irony in that. I was all too aware that I was doing this just to overwhelm my fear. The head was glaring at me while breathing heavily. I glared back at her as fiercely as I could. Eventually, I realized that her sticking point was my relationship with Satoshi-kun. She wasn't only upset that I had a mere connection with him.
そっか。ミオンがそういう告げ口をしたわけか。
It was as though Mion was wearing a mask. She didn't budge under my penetrating glare. Okay, so Mion's just chill during this. Interesting. That was what the head was really unhappy about. The fact that I was in love with Satoshi-kun. This does sound like crazy Mion from Watanashi.
確かに私、自分が園崎家だとかサトシ君が北条家だとかそんなの全然興味ないし、園崎家のメンツがとか世間体がどうとか全然関心ありません。認めますよ、認めます。私は北条サトシ君が好きです。
I will say for this chapter, I don't know why, I'm just like cringing with excitement a lot more than I did, at least in Totodoroshi and Himatsubushi, which is like more recent. I don't know exactly how the feeling was in Watanashi and Anatakashi, though there definitely was really good reveals in Watanashi, so probably, but this is just fun. I love this. I love it as much as Xian loves Satoshi.
それっていけないこと？人が人を好きになるのに何か理由が必要？
I just see the relatives shaking their heads in turmoil. Among them, I saw my mom. She must have been trying to protect me. Yeah, well, there's literally no going back now. Might as well just let it all out. But even she wouldn't look at me. Instead, she looked silently at the floor.
後ろのあんたたちも聞こえてるでしょ？私おかしいこと言ってる？あんたたちだってサトシ君をよく知れば、彼がどんなに素敵な男の子で私が好きになるのがおかしくないことがすぐにわかる。なのになんで相手の人格も知ろうとしないで一方的に。
Mian held out a hand to silence me. Then she slowly walked in my direction.
もう結構です、シオン。
Okay, let's just check. Okay, that's definitely not Blue Eyes. She looks a little different, but if it was a Blue Eyes, my whole theory would be destroyed. But no, she looks normal, right? She looks a little paler, but I think yeah, that's Green Eyes. Okay, don't kill my theory yet. That would actually just ruin the scene if I see a blue-eyed Mion, and my Rion theory is ruined.
あなたの言い分と覚悟はよくわかりました。
Mion put her head close to mine and whispered.
シオンの覚悟はよくわかったよ。でもここまで言い切っちゃったら誰にももうかばえない。シオンがけじめをつけてみせるしかない。けじめ？なんで私がなんでそんなバカな。シオン。
Mian's face turned cold again, and she calmly told me.
あなたの言う個人の理屈は多分正しい。でもね、あなたも理解していると思うけど、ここはひなみ沢で、私たちは園崎家なの。御三家の末席で、今や事実上のひなみ沢の筆頭家。そしてあなたは仮にも園崎家次期当主である園崎美音の双子の妹。それが
I interrupted her.
あんたとはこっちに帰ってからどうもそのあたりの話が食い合わないですね。大人の事情みたいなことばっか。ひなみ沢、園崎家だから何？私はそんなの全然興味な。聞きなさい。
Angry Mion. Mion interrupted me just like I did her.
シオンは今日まで沖宮で生活するにあたってどれだけの人の世話になってる？
Exactly 3 people. In like the sense, not in like the super broad sense where it would be ridiculous. And yes, 3 of them worked for the Sonozakis, and 1 of them was Mion. So I guess you got that there, but still. Chill shot through my spine.
葛西さん、奥の牢屋にいる。
Well, the fact that Casa is still again somehow, some way, Shion is literally like in like alive next year, allowed to go into Hinamizawa, and Casa is also alive. So I don't know what happens. She obviously doesn't die here, so I don't know what the heck happens and why she gets accepted. I really feel like Oryu... No, but they... it feels like Oryu dies in this and Mion lets her. But how does that make sense? I don't know. I'm confused. Let's just keep going. No time to theorize now when we're getting this fun scene.
なんで葛西が
I knew why, of course. The moment I got caught, those who helped me were destined to meet the same fate. Oh, does that mean the uncle at Angel Mort also had the same fate? But he was also alive. Actually, was he? I don't think we ever met him. Never mind. We were all subject to the punishment of betrayal. Maybe my punishment would be lighter than what they'd be going through. Lighter? I mean, maybe. Kasa and Uncle Yoshiro must have been treated. Yeah, that was his name. Uncle Yoshiro. Much worse than this. Everybody who helped me was falling victim. Oh, what if... Maybe this is what happens to Satoshi. Maybe the Sonozakis do deal with him because of this. Which, again, this... the whole art just makes me feel like this is like motivations for Shion committing the crimes in Watanabe, but... Again, we have to see. I'm just so excited I keep on talking when we should get through this scene. Or, not get through it, but enjoy this scene.
シオンがどういう目にあってもシオン本人は覚悟があるからいいだろうけどお世話になった葛西さんや吉郎おじさんがどうなるかまでは考えが及ばない
I'm sure Kasai is kind of prepared, but Uncle Yoshiro's probably sweating it out a bit, huh? My head rapidly cooled down. My aggression was all used up. I should be able to bear whatever punishment they'd bring on me, but I resented the fact that I'd be putting the people who supported me at risk.
シオンばっちゃんに謝ってけじめをつけてみせればシオン一人だけの話
Oh, that's asking so much, though. I wonder if Shion is... Again, we've been having this discussion. Well, not me, but in the comments, Shion is... I mean, she does care about these people, but does she care enough to say sorry to the grandmother? Also her sense of pride? I don't know. I mean, if Kasa and Uncle Yoshiro, who may or may not have been in the other arts, I feel like he was, but that might have just been another uncle, are fine, and maybe Shion does apologize and swallow the pride.
でもミオン私間違ったこと言ったそんなにも悪いことした
The moment Mian learned that I wasn't willing to apologize, her expression turned cold again. She turned her back to me and returned to the lounge. I talked back to the head in a really harsh manner. I told her that I didn't do anything wrong, yet I had involved many people to who I owed so much. It went without saying this was my responsibility. I was the sole person to blame, and no fault lay with them. Yes, Kasa and Yoshiro-san were blameless, just as Satoshi-kun was. But then, as if she read my mind, Mion turned around and gave a slight nod. It was possible that something was going to happen to Satoshi-kun. On top of that, Kasa and Uncle Yoshiro. That can't happen. Satoshi-kun, I mean, nobody else should be punished. Please forgive them.
何ですかシオン
Tears rolled down my cheeks. I no longer cared about my pride. Well, there goes my question.
ごめんなさい私が間違っていました許してください当主様
I should have said what the Haid wanted to hear, yet she still looked unsatisfied. Maybe that wasn't too surprising. I had just denounced her so badly in front of the relatives. She wouldn't forgive me so easily. Just then, Mion spoke as the successor.
ではシオン、どうやってけじめをつけるつもりです？けじめってどうすれば？
Nothing could be scarier than being told to pay up while standing next to the horrid-looking torture devices. I was completely terrified. I couldn't move from trembling. Mion saw that and whispered to our grandmother. The Hague nodded. Mion summoned some young minions and gave them an order. They removed one of the torture devices hanging on the wall, then set a table in front of me and put the device on top of it.
何これ？爪を剥ぐための道具です。
Hey, it is the finger thing. Wait, was it? Was that what happened in the finger thing? I just remember needles going inside the fingertips. So maybe it's different.
使い方はわかります。
I mean, if you go with the relation stuff, then it should be the same thing. But Mia never did explain it. She just told the fingertip stuff, and it was like, oh, but if you survive, if you're still conscious, then I'll tell you the next stuff. Man, it really feels like Shion did it. I was just thinking about the. Do I explain it now? No, we'll leave it for next session, I guess. But just the thing with cursing Satoko on the ladder, that just really feels like Shion. Now that I think about it, but I don't know. Maybe not. No, it just fuck. I shook as I stared at the tool. It looked like a giant nail clipper. You probably put the part that looks like a bead between your fingers and fingernails, pulling them apart if you squeeze the hand. Okay, so it's not the finger torture. Never mind, I am wrong. The chills ran up and down my spine when I imagined that.
爪1枚ずつでシオンがかけた迷惑のそれぞれのけじめとします。
3? Are we getting 3 or is it gonna be more?
園崎シオン、どの指でも構いません。自らの手で
Okay.
3枚の爪を剥がしてみせ
I mean, I say okay because I'm not in Shion's perspective, but I thought they were gonna do like all of them, so. But that sucks. Whenever my fingernails even get bent backwards, because I'm usually lazy to cut them, I feel it. I don't want to imagine getting fingernails being pulled off. 3. One for Kasai, one for Uncle Yoshiro, and the last one for Satoshi-kun. It was a fairly reasonable number.
本当にそれで他の人は許してくれるんですか？約束して。私がちゃんと自分の爪を剥げたら他のみんなは許すと約束して。これはあなたのけじめであって取引ではありませんよ。この方法が気に入らないならやるから待って。待ってよ。やるから。
Oh, are we gonna do it ourselves? No. Please. No, I feel like Mion's probably gonna give a helping hand. I put the device to my little finger while shaking badly. God, this is horrible. I guess I should have expected torture stuff in this one since it's connected to Watanabe. But if this, I'm assuming this is actually going to happen, then I guess it's worse than the finger stuff Keiichi almost went through because he didn't actually go through it. Even though I kind of like the sound of Keiichi's was a bit more interesting to me. But I mean, ripping off fingernails with a giant nail clipper definitely is something. Okay. Let's go through this. I'm sorry, Shion. If my fingernails were shorter, it would have been harder. Oh, dude, imagine if I didn't fix my mic before this. That would have sucked. The metal beat captured my little finger beautifully. Yeah, go for the smaller nails, I imagine. Or, yeah, the 3 fingers, pinky, ring, and middle. Just as you use the other 2 more, I think. The subordinates then stabilized my left hand with a different restraining tool. That seemed reasonable because my finger would slip out if it weren't restrained like that. As the subordinates buckled up the leather straps, I realized that this was really happening, and there's no escape. Somewhere in my mind, I'd been thinking that they might forgive me just after that gesture alone. You gotta pull a Keiichi and yell to Mion. Yell to me, and you don't have Keiichi's scream, but use the passion. No, it's doomed. Honestly, if Oryu was there with Mion, I feel like... Again, if it was Mion, I would feel like Keiichi's screams wouldn't work. It's like just... It's just too much. She wasn't getting out of it. Anyways. Let's hope it's not too graphic. I mean, it's not gonna be graphic, but too descriptive. I'll be honest, I kind of wanna... I'm excited. I'm excited in a weird way. This is exciting to me. I shouldn't have been so naive. I love intense scenes like this. The emotions I've been holding back appeared in the form of tears and kept rolling down my cheeks. It was like my feelings were being squeezed out until the very last drip. Something even more horrifying followed this. It was a silence that awaited my next action.
どうするの?
They're actually making her do it herself. Jesus. I hate it. One of the subordinates pointed at the handle, and told me to either squeeze it or hit it. Well, if I was in this situation, which if I was, I'd probably be even less composed. I'd probably just hit it, because if you squeeze it, it'll go like slowly up. Might as well just pop it off all at once. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Mr. Subordinate. He recommended the latter would be easiest to make it quick. If like Mion helps, I feel like she's just trying to squeeze it as extra punishment. I wonder if we're gonna get a CG of this. Probably not. They don't really put too graphically violent CGs. Nobody said anything after that. There's nothing to hear but the sound of my sweat dripping onto the floor. The onlookers were staring at me silently, waiting for me to execute my punishment. Both the Haid and Mion. They were also anticipating it. I could refuse, but that meant I wouldn't be paying up. This punishment exists to offer payment in exchange for the safety of those who helped me. If I refused, they would suffer. I started breathing heavily. I knew that if I did this, the others would go free. This was, if you thought about it, quite a good deal. If it weren't me, it wouldn't be just 3 with the fingernails. If it were Kasai, he'd have to sacrifice his little finger or something even worse. I knew that. It was my selfish desire to get away from that school. Why did Kasai have to suffer because of that? I knew that. Why did Uncle Yoshiro have to suffer just because he provided me with the job? Think about Satoshi. Close your eyes, think about Satoshi, just hit it. I knew that the Haid and the other relatives still hated the Hojos. So I didn't know what they'd do to Satoshi-kun if I didn't do this. Would they bring Satoshi-kun here and tell him to do the same? Would they tell him to remove his fingernails in exchange for forgiving me? He'd do it. He'd sacrifice himself with no hesitation in order to save others. My sweat dripped onto the table through my nose. I'd do it. Yes. It was only 3 fingernails. It might hurt a lot, but I wouldn't die. The fingernails would grow back. It wouldn't even leave a huge scar. I shouldn't be afraid. The punishment was minimal because it was me. If I refused to do this, the others would be punished much more severely. I couldn't let that happen to Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Satoshi-kun. I was the only one who should be punished. So I just needed to bear that pain. I wasn't just breathing heavily anymore. I was also moaning faintly, ready to scream at any moment. That's right, make it quick. This wasn't torture, so I didn't have to prolong the moment of pain. I should do it in one swift blow. That way my pain and fear would be minimized. I raised my right arm. Quickly. The pain would be lessened if you did it in one stroke. It'd be much more painful if I messed up. I held my breath. I felt as if my body was frozen. I was choking. The chills crept up my spine. Don't be afraid, Shion. Fingernails are just a tiny fraction of the whole body, just 1 square centimeter. I could do this. I could bear it. I spat my right hand onto the handle of the device. I sensed the noise go through my body instead of through my ears. At the same time, I felt a pain I had never experienced before. A moment later, the pain pulsated with my heartbeat. I clenched my teeth. I felt like my teeth were cracking. I tightly shut my eyes until my eyeballs got squeezed up. The pain wouldn't fade. Rather, it slowed up my blood pressure. I felt as though it was bloating like a balloon. Timidly, I opened my eyes. I found that my little finger wasn't really drenched in blood. It was bleeding, but not much. Certainly not enough to explain how much it hurt. My fingernail was open, just like the hood of a car. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was overwhelming. It occurred to me that I'd only done the 1 out of the 3. Did I have to repeat this 2 more times? Did I have to remove the nails from my ring and the middle finger as well? I looked up at the head and Mion begging for mercy, but they were just silently staring at me, as if the show had only just begun. I saw no hint of mercy in their eyes. They wouldn't be changing their minds. Since they said 3, it had to be 3. They wouldn't forgive me until I removed 2 more fingernails.
ミオ、これで許して。あのね、これ本当に痛いの。ほら、私の顔を見ればわかるよね。本当にさ、痛くて。
Mion answered, still wearing a cold look.
シオン、もう無理。
She didn't mean that it was sufficient. What she meant is that the others would have to take the remaining punishment if I didn't. I knew that. I really did know.
やれるよ。こんなの全然楽勝だって。この冷血動画。こんなの怖くない。こんなの痛くない。
I quickly moved the metal grates and set it onto my ring finger and smacked it with no hesitation. Instead of making it quick, maybe I was just rushing out of fear. I'd messed up. The torture tool had clipped through the tip of my fingernail. The pain, however, was equal. I couldn't believe I'd only chipped it. Oh, chipped, not clipped. Did I have to do it again? Did I have to continue removing the nail from my ring finger? That much pain again? Again?
シオン。やだ。
I couldn't bear it anymore. I started crying shamelessly.
もうやだやだ。もう無理なの。本当に痛いの。こんなの怖くない。こんなの痛くない。ごめんなさいごめんなさい。謝りますから許してください。ごめんなさいごめんなさいごめんなさいごめんなさいごめんなさいごめんなさい。
They didn't seem to hear my voice. I felt as though there was an invisible barrier between us. They showed no mercy. They were just here to witness this ritual. So rather than sympathetic, they looked amazed by my screw-up. Mian walked up to me and whispered to my crying face.
シオン。あとちょっとだから頑張って。やだやだやだやだ。本当に無理。本当に痛いの。痛いの。
Mian shook her head, then signaled the subordinates. They came from behind me. They covered my head with something like a knit cap. It was a blindfold. One of them pinned me in a Nelson hold, restricting my movements.
やめてよやめてよ。いやいや。
I couldn't overpower the guy behind me. Then I felt something strange on my left hand. The other guy was doing something with the torture tool. He put the metal break between my ring finger and its fingernail.
助けて。お母さん。お母さん。
My left hand was fixed in the restraint, so I couldn't put up much to protest anyway. But even that left hand was pressed down by his rough palms until it hurt, robbing it of the freedom even to tremble. They had no hesitation. Yikes. Sorry I'm not commenting too much on this. I don't really want to stop. It was made very clear how merciless people could be. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assailing me. If there's anything I was thankful for, it was that he was well practiced and had ripped off both of my fingernails cleanly. Oh, he did a 2-for-1er. Great. Pain and screaming might induce narcotic chemicals in the brain. While screaming, I started losing consciousness. Well. Chapter break. Dude, that was so good. Holy shit. How do I rank that in intense moments in Higurashi, huh? Though it's a different intenseness. Like, you can't really compare it to the Rena chase scene. That was like... Well, you could call it torture porn, because it, like, almost literally just was. But that was so good. I was just shitting on Shion screams a bit. I'm not shitting on it, but saying it wasn't as good as Keiichi, but I mean... Streaming during torture, dude. That's a new level we haven't reached yet, huh? Though what's the most intense Shion stream better than the most intense Keiichi stream during the Satoko thing? It's a hard sell. I know I'm being chirpy, but that was so good. I wonder if that's one of the reasons why. Well, I don't know how people rate arcs in this, but at least some people in my channel don't like this arc because of scenes. That was probably the most graphically violent scene. I mean, Kichi bashing in the uncle's head was also graphically violent, but it was also happening to a character that people might like. I mean, I like Shion, but again, she's like the least connected to out of the main group. Like, I didn't even consider the main group pre this arc. Now I'm definitely willing to consider her as one. So, yeah, that was insane. It was so good. I don't know. I love this. I love this art so far, and this was like a mid. Oh, this is the sad dear you. Okay, I was wondering if it was. Before I said, oh, is this a new song? Though we might not have heard this variant, but I feel like we did hear a sad version before. Oh, but what was I saying? But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Again, outside of Keiichi perspectives is always good. I'm loving the connections to every arc. And I love super intense scenes like that. It's great. Like, one of my favorite horror movies, I was going to say Japanese horror movies, but horror movies in general, is Audition, which does have some really graphic torture stuff like that. So it's up my alley. I'm not saying this because I'm like some torture porn guy. I actually don't usually like that in stories, specifically movies, because they're usually just bad. But this was extra great with your own family member doing it. Like Mion's response to it. I mean, I think it's understandable why Shion wouldn't like Mion. And I guess technically why Mion doesn't get so embarrassed when Shion's there, because it's kind of hard to like touch her casually after forcing that on her. And again, this is only halfway. Who knows, maybe even more stuff causes this. But I feel like this is almost just enough motivation. And I feel like if this is like leading to Shion doing this stuff in watching Higurashi, the final push would be the Sonozakis do something to Satoshi despite all that happening. That would absolutely kill Shion, who's probably, I'm just guessing, only holding on to a thread with the idea that Satoshi's alright in her mind. God, this was so good. I'm sure we're going to talk about it more in the intro next time. But for now, let's just leave it at that. Let's just let that linger in my head as it's 1:40 a.m. Because this is like an hour and 10-20 minutes long. Which is great. Go to sleep. Hopefully I don't have dreams about this, because that's always more spookier than anything. Scary dreams. But yeah, thank you for watching. Again, sorry for the audio issue. I'm so glad we got it before shit actually went down though, so that was good. And I'm excited to see how this goes through. This was awesome. In my opinion. I'm not a squeamish guy, so I can handle it. But yeah, let's see how Shion recovers. Let's see if Satoshi's doing fine, and see how the sister relationships happening, or relationships in general. I wonder if how the mom or dad, they didn't mention the dad being there, but we can assume he was there. See how that goes. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. This was probably an episode people were looking forward to, and yeah, it was great. But we'll answer those questions next time. For me, probably tomorrow night, but for you, Friday night. So see you whenever you watch this. Ciao.